Hi, my name is Chelsea Barton. Thank you, T.A.G family, for choosing me to share my story. Thank you, Coach Dana Taylor. I appreciate this opportunity. And so I am here today to share how the world tried to tag me throughout my entire life. So even from childhood, the world tried to tag me. It tried to tag me through losses I've experienced through life, things that I have survived. But one thing I knew and understood, even as a child, I'm not what the world tried to make me to be out to be or tag me as. I'm whatever God has spoken over my life. So my story is not something neat. It's not even something that's comfortable. It's not even a polished story, but it's a real. And it's full of ups and downs. But the most important thing is it's full of resilience due to the power of God working and operating in my life. And I'm forever grateful for him. So when I was a child, I ended up carrying responsibility that was far greater than what a child should have carried at such a young age. I didn't quite know how to put that into words, and I didn't fully understand the weight of it. I just knew I had to do it. And so people just assumed that I would be a repeat of cycles. They thought I was going to become a statistic, and they even thought I was going to be a barrier of pain. But one thing I always made my mind up is I'm not going to be what the world tried to make me out to be. I'm more than that. Just because you think that I'm going to be this or that doesn't mean that's going to be my outcome. That's not my portion in life. So with the help of God, I remember sitting in my room as a teenager and God speaking to me, and he was talking to me about accountability. Now, I didn't know as a teenager that this is the voice of God talking to me. I just knew it was just this profound wisdom speaking through me, through my thoughts. And God taught me about accountability, and he told me to take ownership of my life. I might not can control the external circumstances in my life, but one thing I can control the decisions I make. I can control my own actions. So from that point on, I just knew that, okay, I have dreams bigger than the environment that was presented to me. I have wants, and I'm deserving of these wants, and you don't have to be anything negative that the world try to tag you to be. So even as I got older and I got married and to my high school sweetheart, he ended up passing away. And that right there, it really solidified a lot. It was a pivotal moment in my journey with God. Although I might have experienced pain and suffering as a child, and I thank God for it because it made me resilient and it taught me tenacity, right? However, this level of pain now, this is a pain that was really deep. It was deep wounded in love. So although I experienced losing my husband, it was very suddenly. It was very just traumatic. He left to go to the gym. He didn't come back. So my life changed in the blink of an eye. And at that point, I had a decision to make. And there was only two options for me. Either I'm going to become dark and become unrecognizable and just give up all the principles that I had set in my life beforehand, or I was going to take a bet on the God that said that he has power over death and that he is literally throwing death into the lake of fire at the end of Judgment Day. And so, although, I was still learning more about this God as an adult, I just like, you're my best bet. I got to try you. I have to try you. And so I just remember giving myself to God, and I handed my heart over to him. And I remember vividly as I was on my way to my late husband's family house to join the rest of the family as we were mourning, I could feel the hands of God come down and just grab my heart and hold my heart in his hands because I was just so distraught, so heartbroken. And I remember me telling God, once you heal me, I'm going to tell the entire world how you brought me through this. Now, I did not realize that this healing was not going to be an isolated event around me losing my husband and healing from that level of grief. What God showed me and what he did, he opened me up from the childhood wounds. He took me all the way back from all the disappointments, all of the abuse, all of the, the hateful things that the world tried to put onto me. And he literally healed me. He cleansed me from it. It was like he did a entire, I mean, it was like an entire detox. It was like surgical. It was a timeline surgical, right? Like he just went back and he just started just correcting whatever crooked paths occurred because of what the world was tagging me in the past. Like, yeah, I was resilient, but I didn't heal from it. I just kept moving forward because I knew that's what I needed to do. And so one thing I learned, even in that aspect, it doesn't matter what the world has said. It doesn't matter what the world do. It don't even matter what circumstances you go in life. The only thing that you need to be conscious aware of is what God has said. So when I was in so much pain from losing my husband and all of the pain from childhood, from adolescent, from young adult, every disappointment, every loss. I mean, I'm talking about loss across the board holistically. Every just whatever, that loss might have been, doors slammed in my face, opportunities just gone by my mind, y'all. Oh my God. The level, I don't think we talk enough about grief and how grief just messes with your mind. It just eat at your soul, right? And you're sitting here and you got a save face, but yet and still people don't understand how much pain you're in within, and you're trying your best to show up, right? And if you don't show up according way, a certain way, like a little cookie cutter way, they like to say things. And it was just, even in dealing with that, it was just like, oh my goodness. But one thing, like I said, even in that, God taught me, he said, don't get offended. He was like, do not get offended. You need to, this is what Jesus was talking about. Turn the other cheek. Don't even worry about it. Don't even let it phase you. And so I really learned throughout the tagging, right? Oh, she's crazy. What is she doing? Oh, she, blah, blah, blah. She made bad decisions over here. Oh, she, whatever. Just whatever the tags were coming, because they were coming. Just because I lost a spouse and stuff, and just because I went through some stuff in childhood, it did not stop the tags from steadily just coming and building up. The rejection, the low self-esteem, just the low self-confidence. My husband was my covering from childhood. He literally anchored me from adolescent into young adulthood. So when I didn't have him anymore, I was scared. I mean, he was who I depended on. He was my backbone. Like, I truly depended on him. I didn't have parental support like that. I had my husband and I had God. Like, God was my primary parent. So I was so scared, and I just remember God telling me this. He had me go to the book of Isaiah, and he brought up that scripture where he said, "Look, I will be whatever you need me to be. I will be your protector." He said, "I'll be your sister. I'll be your brother. I'll be your husband. Whatever capacity that you need of me, I will be these things to you." And so, with me knowing that, every void I had within me, all the way back from childhood, he filled them. He cleansed it, he healed it, we acknowledged it, and he filled it. That's just really what it was. So when the world, this is my message to you. This is not to downplay any of my experience. It's not even to highlight anybody to be a villain, because I don't believe in that. I believe in you are a very important person in your own healing. And so it doesn't matter what other people do. What does matter and what you do have control of, and when you do stand before the King of Kings and the Lord of Glory, you're only going to be held accountable for your actions. And so therefore, that's how I deal with healing. So like I said, when you're standing before the King of Glories, you are going to be held accountable for you. And that's the same way that I handle healing. I need to only look at me. What am I doing? What have I done to contribute to this? I need to heal. I'm not focusing on the person that caused the pain. If it was an external factor that caused it by somebody else, that's not my concern. My only concern concerning that person is to forgive that person and let it go and just make wiser decisions in the future. So when I think about tag, like how the world has tried to tag me, there's so many things that the world tried to tag me on. So many things. I never feed into it. I never give it life. I always look at, okay, what did God say about me? When I felt weak, he said I would be strong. When I felt like giving up, he told me that I would be the victor. When I felt depleted financially, he said, I would be the lender. When I felt like, Lord, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I got the capabilities to make this thing work. He said that I will literally bless everything that you put your hands to. And that's how I survived. From an early age, y'all. An early age, I didn't have mentors. I didn't have people cheer me on and say, you can be whatever you want to be in the life. In life, the stars is yours. I never had that. I didn't have that. I didn't have somebody checking in on making sure that I was making good decisions as an adolescent. I didn't have that. I had people believing I was going to be a stereotype. I had people believing that I was going to be a statistic. Whenever the devil tried to come and speak negative to me, to tag me, based off circumstances, I had those things. But one thing I held on to truth, and one thing I believe in, and I anchor it deep in my soul, is what God has said about me. And so it doesn't matter if the world tried to reject me. God said, I accept you. And I believe that. It doesn't matter if the world said I'm not lovable. God said, I love you. And I believe that. And it doesn't matter if the world said, girl, you weak. There's no way you can do this. God said, I'm strong and I'm capable of anything I put my mind to. He said, you can do all things through Christ that strengthen you. And that's what I believe. So when people look at me and they say, oh my gosh, Chelsea, you're strong. I'm not strong because it was in my own strength. I'm strong because I believe in the Creator who told me that I can be strong. So my final message to you is, it don't matter what the world try to tag you. It don't matter what the world try to tag you on. It doesn't matter. I have a whole story, a life of stories about different tags. But one thing I can honestly say, I achieve the impossible almost daily because I believe. So when it comes to tags, the only thing that matters, the only tag that I'm willing to accept is what the Lord has said about me. And I'm forever grateful. So my prayers to you is let go of all worldly tags. Let them all go. And take on the tag from heaven. What has God said about you? And you believe in that. And that right there, that is truth. And you can take it to the bank. Amen. I love you guys. I love you with the love of Christ. And thank you for sitting here and hearing my story on how the world tried to tag me, but God said something totally different. Bye. So tag family, the next person that I am tagging is, I'm super excited to hear your story. Have at it. Tell us how the world tried to tag you.